Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is Dora the Fluid Crafter, and this morning we are going to be doing something a little bit different. I got my sewing machine out, and we are going to do the cover for the book. So, I don't normally do the sewing thing. I have a sewing table over there that I normally do my sewing on, but I figured, you know what? I wanted to work on it this morning. Why not turn the camera on, right? So I'm actually going to be making a slip cover for this book. I have a vintage children's book from 1968 that I've taken out the pages, and it's been just kind of sitting up there, and I figured, you know what, it fits perfectly with my signatures. That's the one that I'm going to use. And I'm going to be making a slipcover for this because the embellishments and things that I want to put on the front, when you open it, it's going to have stuff here. And I mean, if you're using the journal, I want it to be able to lay flat. So, with that being said, I have a piece of batting material. It is just thick quilting, what they put on the back of quilts to give it that sturdiness and that thickness. It's not really expensive. I actually picked mine up at a thrift store for really cheap, actually, and I brought it home and I washed it twice just to make sure that it was clean and the thrift store smell was out of it, and now it smells great. I made my last slipcover with it, so I'm going to show you guys a really simple, easy way to make a slipcover for a journal. Now, since we are doing a bird book, the front of this cover, it's got some, it looks like maybe somebody had some stickers on it and they were peeled off. You know, it's got a lot of wear and tear on it, so I may actually take and cover it with cardstock or something. I'm not quite sure yet. Who knows? But for right now, I wanted to make a slipcover. So, if you guys want to do it, you want to do it with me, grab you some material that you want to make a slipcover with, and let's get started. So, first thing I do is I lay it out. I leave a little gap at the top because I like my slipcover to be just a little bit bigger than the book. Try to make it to where it's even on both sides here. I fold it over like this, and then I pull the book this way. Okay, the reason why you want to do that is because you don't want the slipcover to be so tight that when you go to close it, it doesn't close. You know, it sticks up like this because the slipcover is too tight. So you always want to fold it over and line it up with the other side. Make sure that your spine is open. You know, don't let your book lay flat like this. Make sure that your spine is open. Okay, so that way you get a good measurement. You can always measure across with a ruler. I'm an eyeballer, so that's how I do it. So I am just going to straighten up this here. Make sure that that stays straight. Sometimes it does want to move. It takes a little bit to, you know, get used to doing that. And so when I have this where I want it, I take a clip and I just clip the edge like that. I pull the book down, I flatten, and I clip the other side. Okay, then I'll turn my sewing machine on. For this, I'm only going to do a straight stitch. I know that there's a lot of people out there that do sewing, but not a lot of you guys are advanced sewers or seamstresses, so a lot of you guys use a straight stitch. So I'm just going to use a straight stitch just to kind of show you guys a very easy, simple way to do this. Okay, now when you put this in your sewing machine, You want to put it in the manner that you start here and end here at the bottom, okay? Because this is already folded, so you don't have to go over it to seal it shut, if that makes any sense, okay? So you want to start here and end here. Your back stitch should go over just a little bit and then come back so that you seal that edge down all the way. And I am going to do that really quick. I'm going to take my clip off. I'm going to hold it with my fingers the best I can. I'm going to put it into the sewing machine, lower the foot and the needle, bring that back up. There we go. Okay. I'm going to do about 2 stitches and then I'm going to back stitch. And then I'm just going to follow the edge of the fabric. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie, that can be hard, especially if your fabric wants to move. And I'll show you in just a second. I'm going to lift that up, and then I'm going to cut my threads. I normally leave the tails on, but for this demonstration, I am just going to cut them off. And so you can see how it is right at the edge of the fabric, and you can also see how this rolls. It will want to roll towards or let's see, how can I put this, if you are sewing this side, right, and it's in the sewing machine, it's gonna want to roll in because you're putting that pressure into the fabric and that thread is tightening, and so it's going to want to roll. So make sure that you keep your fingers and keep everything situated. If you mess up, don't worry about it. Take the threads out, do it again. Not a big deal. Good thing about sewing is you can always take it apart. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do like that right there, just to make sure that that is nice and tight. Not too tight, but just where it lines up with this edge. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to start up here at the bend, and I'm going to end down here. Okay, and now we have our second. And now the very, very important thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that your book fits in, whoops, to the pocket, okay? Because sometimes you can make it too tight and it does not fit in. And so this is why I keep the edge down the side. Mine is not cut straight, but that's okay. I'm not really worried. It's because you want to give at least when, now I can measure it for you, but when I pull it, I want to be able to pinch that. And that is for the, you're giving room to sew, but your book still fits into the pocket. Okay, so now since we have that one sewn, we're going to do it like this. We're going to make sure that the book is even on this side, okay? Make sure that it's got the same amount at the top and the bottom, okay? I'm going to hold this way towards me so that I can see here, and I'm just going to place my fingers on the corners because that's where I'm going to fold up. Okay, so I'm going to pull the book up and I'm going to fold in. I'm going to lay the book back down and I'm going to make sure that the book is going to lay inside that pocket and still be even, if that makes sense. Okay, that looks good. That looks good to me. Okay, so now that I have my fold, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my clips, clip one side. You can always use pins to pin down your fabric if that is easier for you to do. And I'm just going to do it one more time just to ensure. Always double check what you're doing. Okay, that looks good to me. So I'm going to lay my book to the side and then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to sew the edges. Okay, so I'm going to do that really quick. Actually, I think I'm going to. Okay. And see, mine's even trying to roll right now. And so I may have to take mine apart. But we are going to see. Nope. Okay, I got it. It went through. But it's so close. It wants to roll. So you do have to be a little mindful of that. If you want to leave more of an overhang on the bottoms and tops of your book, so that way you have more room to sew and then cut it off, you can do that as well. And I am just going to sew this side really fast. Speed it up a little bit, make it go quicker. Okay, and then there is that side. Okay, now we need to test it again to make sure that it all fits. So you want to put your book together before you close it, like so. And then when you close it, it should be pretty even around all sides, okay? Now, I tend to like to give mine a little fluff here, okay? And the reason why is, you know, kind of space. Because when I start putting my signatures in, it's going to fill that up. So let me bring these out. So I got my signatures ready here that I want to use. And so I'm just going to put those in like this just to make sure. And now it's not loose anymore. It's actually pretty tight. And so that is how you do a slip cover. And then you can just start decorating, which we're going to do also. So I'm going to take my signatures back out of here. I'm going to set this to the side. I'm going to take my book back out and set that to the side now that we know that it fits and everything is good. Okay? So now what I like to do is I like to put the corners together, put a couple clips on them. Okay, now this is going to be part of your spine. Okay, so you want to give space here. Okay, now my spine is not going to be that thick, but I say about 2 fingers width. Okay, so if you hold it up, about 2 fingers width. When it's flat, you're going to do 1. So it's 1 on each side. So you want to make sure that you stay when you're doing your adding your fabrics to the top or whatever the case may be. Stay about 1 finger length away from that edge. 2, if your spine is bigger, you know, this way you're not constantly ruling and marking. You can just put your finger there. That's what I do. Like I said, I'm not a measurer. I just eyeball it. So I have some pieces here that I wanted to put onto the front that I've laid out. And so this is what I'm thinking I would like for the cover to have on it. Now you can have overhang on the spine, but if you're sewing, remember to keep that finger length when you're sewing. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to measure this up. Now remember, you already made your pockets. You can do this before you make your pockets if you like. I always do it after because on this side here, I hand stitch because either that or I'll do a wonky stitch or something like that. But 9 times out of 10, I normally don't go over as far as the pocket. Sometimes I tend to leave that open, or I leave it just as it is, or I don't cover with this, and I just put a little display on the side. It's all up to you on how you want to do it. So this is what I'm thinking. Okay, so like I said, I'm still kind of laying it out and figuring out what I would like to have on my cover. And this is what I was thinking here. I may not even put that back part back there. And that actually looks good all on its own without the extra on the back. So what I'm actually going to do is I am going to sew a square around, and I'm going to leave all the rest of this loose. Okay, I'm going to do that really quick. And this part here, you do not have to stay close to the edge. I'm actually going to do a zigzag stitch. And if it's not straight, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. Okay, and now we have that. And now you can see here the straight pieces. So I think my tension is off somewhere. I'm not sure where, but it is off somehow. Let me turn that off, turn it back on, see if that helps. Okay, so now I'm going to leave some of these tails on here, but not so long as they are right now. So I'm going to just take off a little bit. Okay, actually looks kind of cool like that, but now I want to put this here. Okay, so the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to line this up where I want it. Right there. And you can go over, I mean, even if you went over the spine, because this is cloth, it will fold with it. So, I mean, you don't have to really worry too much about it. But if you wanted to put some lace and things like that over it, you know, then that would be something to think about as well. And I'm just tucking these under like this a little bit. See how that looks? Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Now that I have it in place, I'm going to lift it up, straighten it out a little bit, and then what I'm going to do, because I have the pocket, I'm just going to sew from here to here, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Okay, I'm just doing a straight stitch on this as well. Okay. Take off some of these threads. Those little scissors need to be sharpened. Okay, so now we have this on the front, right? How cool would it be to have this swing open and have a pocket here and have little things tucked in, right? Would that not be cool? And then we could put a little eyelet here or something in the fabric and have it part of the tie over so that they can untie it. I think that would be super cool. So we are going to do a pocket. I'm going to turn off my sewing machine really fast. And I'm actually going to use this for the pocket. Okay, actually let me reverse that because I'm going to make this easy on myself. I'm going to sew down one side here, okay, so that way I can get at least one side sewn. I'm going to measure, cut, and then I'm going to sew the other side, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're back, and I'm going to turn that off now. Okay, so now we have our little flap, right? Okay, and now we want to have a pocket, but we want it to be hidden. So I'm going to bring it up just a little bit here, like so, just so that way it's underneath, okay? And this way we can adhere it, and I'm just going to use some glue to adhere the sides, and I just added this little stamp piece of muslin at the bottom corner as a little banner type thing. It's got a little bird, it says dream, it's got some bees on it. Okay, so what I'm going to do to adhere this is I have this sticky thumbs. It says it can be used for fabrics, so it is a little watery, but we're going to try it. We are going to try it. So I'm going to flip it over. This is the top. I like to sew everywhere except here, because where I have not sewn is the top. So I remember that when I'm gluing. Okay. And like I said, this stuff is a little watery, so it does kind of come out quickly. So, but it's supposed to adhere within 10 seconds. So we are going to see how this works out. I tested it with ribbon, and it was wonderful with the ribbon. So now we are going to test it out with actual fabric. I'm just going to give that a slight push. because as we know, glue will come through your fabric and onto your fingers. Lift this up. Make sure all that's down. And then we just set it to dry. And that's it, guys. That is a slip cover. You can decorate the back if you would like to. You can decorate your spine if you'd like to. Or you can just leave it as it is and use some decorative fabrics for your cover. I kind of like the one that I bought in my last video with all the paint splatters and stuff on it, which would also be super cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got some inspiration to make your own slip cover. And if you do, hey, tag me. I'd love to see it. All right, guys, stay blessed, be creative, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye now.